Hey, what's up? What's up? We're back with another edition of the Leo G Show. I am Leo G, and I'm here, man, and we're gonna crank this thing up, man. Podcasting is what I do, man, and we're just gonna jump into the show tonight, man. As always, like I said, recurring theme tonight. Well, tonight it's just the man with the plan over here, man. I got my man, the dude that want all the Atlanta teams to do what they do. It's my man, Mr. Antoine Banks. What's going on, Banks?
What up, Leo G? How you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. It's been a minute. We're missing one of the members of the crew tonight, man. My man Derrick, man. Shout out to him. Banks, he's on his way to a magical weekend. We weren't invited. Apparently, I'm not gonna put his business out in the street, but shout out to him, man. He's gonna have a great and wonderful weekend, man. So we're recording this right now on the cusp of Memorial Day weekend. It's a lot to talk about here in Atlanta sports. So it's just me and you tonight, man. We're going to let it rip. We're going to talk about what's been going on in these ATL sports streets. You ready for it tonight?
Let's do it.
All right, that's what's up, man. So look, man, we've made it a tradition now to talk about, what we got on, because we got the YouTube channel up. So people are watching us over there on YouTube, man, and also listening to the audio podcast. Shout out to everybody that's been listening and supporting, because there's a lot of content out there, man. So the people that have been faithfully listening and watching us, man, I do want to thank you all for doing that, man. So Banks, starting off with you first, man. You got an iconic T-shirt on tonight, man. Tell everybody what you got on.
Well, this is to pay homage to the Atlanta Hawks in the playoffs. I wanted to take it retro and rep the Omni. Pulling up the Omni. Shout out to Mr. Jamal Price from New Pack City for the shirt hookup, brother. I appreciate you. But yeah, this is, some good times in the Omni. The Hawks back in the orange and yellow seats, brother. It's nothing like it. Some good times growing up.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Omni was, man, there was some fun memories in the Omni, man. A lot of stuff. So, we're not old school. Apparently, before the Omni, there was the Municipal Auditorium here in Atlanta. I know I hear a lot of old school heads that are older than us talk about the Municipal Auditorium, a lot of wrestling, a lot of sporting events that actually happened there as well. But the Omni was the first place that I actually got to see a lot of sporting events, man, a lot of history there at the Omni. Of course, the Hawks. Of course, we've talked about the Thrashers. We talked about the Atlanta Knights. We've talked about the Atlanta Fire Ants, Circus, Globetrotters, you name it. Oh, and of course, how could I forget the most iconic thing that actually the Omni hosted was the Olympics. 96 Olympics hosted a lot of events there, man. So the Omni was a very iconic building here in Atlanta for sports and various other concerts. I saw some concerts there as well. Michael Jackson performed there. Prince, to name a few. Just a very iconic Atlanta spot. Banks, I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there any moment in the Omni that you can actually remember that you can say, yeah, this was an iconic event for me at the Omni?
Well, it's not a positive moment, but it was the Dominique Wilkins retirement. His retiring his number. I recall it like it was yesterday. They raised his jersey to the Raptors, and Stan Caston came up to say and speak, and it was just a rain of boos. And they booed that man off the court, and rightfully so. I don't know if it was it Stan Caston or Pete Babcock. Well,
Babcock. I think it was Babcock, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Pete Babcock.
It was one of them. All I remember was the rain of boos, and it was just nonstop. and it was it was kind of that puts them in Dominique's night, but Atlanta fans let them have it, bro. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, man. One of the biggest and most iconic moments for me in the Omni was actually just I think I went to a playoff game in the Omni watching. This was back like in the '80s, Boston and Atlanta. A lot of people don't know this, but back when Boston was very very good, Atlanta was a team that they had to go through to make it through the Eastern Conference Finals, and there were a lot of great matchups and great games in the Omni with the Hawks and the Boston Celtics, and I was able to go to one of those playoff games. This was back when, of course, the Hawks. We talk about Dominique Wilkins. We talk about before there was Doc Rivers, coach of the Clippers and coach of who was he coach for now? Doc Rivers is with the Philly.
He coaches. No, I think does it Philly?
Somebody. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Doc Rivers.
Clippers
Somebody.
is one of them.
Somebody. Well, anyway, long story short, Doc Rivers played. He was a Atlanta Hawk. Also, we had a guy here by the name of Tree Rollins, Kevin Willis, also Spud Webb, another iconic name. John Concat, one of Banks' favorite players for the Atlanta Hawks, John Concat, and of course, I'd be remiss if I wouldn't talk about Dominique Wilkins. Dominique Wilkins, probably one of the most. I would say, would you say Dominique Wilkins is the most iconic Atlanta Hawk? Because there was another Hawk here before Dominique that was pretty iconic in was it Pistol Pete, I think.
I would say that Dominique was more iconic in our era, growing up. That's a good word. As I watched basketball growing up, it was neat, the him and highlight. So I can say it was, Pistol Pete, but that was before my time and yours. So I mean,
truly, and we'll get into talking about the Hawks here later, into the show here. So we got a lot to talk about tonight, but we haven't had a bunch of like real star power superstar players here for this franchise, and maybe that's another. I don't know if we can get into that tonight. We'll glance over it, I guess. But the first name that comes to mind when you talk about iconic players for the Hawks is Dominique. For what he did, as a player, and then, winning the slam dunk contest against Michael Jordan. Obviously Michael Jordan, one of the greatest NBA players of all time. One of the only people that beat him actually in the slam dunk contest is Dominique Wilkins. And also you talk about Spud Webb as well. Spud Webb was like 5'7" and like won a dunk contest. So those are like two iconic Atlanta Hawks back into the old I call it the ketchup and mustard days with the Pac-Man. And they tried to bring all that back and relive it. But we'll get into the Hawks here in just a minute. So, and my outfit tonight, I got lazy, is inspired by, of course, Atlanta United. I have the Forged in Gold kit on. Y'all can see it. I'm not going to stand up or anything like that. I might fall over. And then I'm representing a little bit for the Hawks because they are in the playoffs, man. So I kind of matched that up pretty good. So, Banks, we're going to move right on into the show, man, and get into the outline because there's a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to digest about what happened this week. So we just going to jump right into it, man. We just going to jump right into it. The big talk of Atlanta this week is the Falcons stole the show, stole the headline with Julio Jones. Julio Jones was called by Shannon Sharp on Undisputed with Shannon and Skip earlier this week. We don't really know the basis of the phone call and how it happened. We know Shannon Sharp called Julio to discuss. I didn't watch the actual whole episode, but we all got clips. As soon as it happened, and Banks, I know you did, my phone blew up. Everybody started sending out texts and tweets, and social media went afire when Julio got called by Shannon Sharp to discuss his future in the league. And the first thing they discussed was Julio Jones' future with the Falcons. And I quote, Julio Jones is saying when Shannon Sharp asked him how was he or where he stood with Atlanta, he said, I'm out of there. So as of right now, we know that Julio Jones basically is no longer a Falcon. 10 years, drafted by the Falcons in 2011. If you didn't know, we traded up to get him. Hell of a wide receiver. One of the best wide receiver this organization has ever had here in Atlanta. First ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion. Will no longer be an Atlanta Falcon. So Banks, first of all, let's talk a little bit about how this all took place and how this all transpired, because there have been some rumors here in Atlanta that he wasn't going to be a part of this organization moving forward, but they had been keeping it really, really hush hush. This is the first time that we publicly heard anybody, whether it be Julio or the Falcons, say what the plans were moving forward with Julio. So how do you feel about how this all kind of transpired?
We couldn't have one weekend of greatness, could we? We had the Hawks winning, we had the Braves winning, everyone feeling good on Monday, and bam, undisputed Julio Jones, and everyone's feeling all that. Listen, we all knew that Julio was leaving, with the cap situation going on with the Falcons. It was not a shock. Well, it wasn't a shock to me that he was on the way out. It was a possibility, people was like, yeah, you could possibly give him more of his, guaranteed money, whatever, or restructure Grady Jarrett, or, anything to keep Julio. But listen, that I don't think they want to keep him. That's just my opinion. I don't think this new regime wants to keep stretching that contract out, on the aging receiver. Now,
It's funny you should say that. Not to cut you off a little bit, man. It's funny you should say that. Do you think Julio leaving is more of a business decision? Because I mean, he's a phenomenal talent, and we'll discuss some other things here in just a moment. He's a phenomenal talent. Do you really think this regime coming in? Because we kind of discussed this a little bit. New regime with Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot coming in. You always assess what you already have in the situation. But at the same time, this is something moving forward. And anytime you have a regime change, everybody wants to bring in the personnel that's going to fit what they're trying to do for their situation. Obviously, Thomas Dimitrov and Dan Quinn are gone. So now Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot are trying to figure out and fill out guys that are going to be good fits for what they want to do long term. From a business perspective, like you just said, money-wise, is this strictly a money situation, or do you feel like Julio didn't fit into what they want to do long term? And what I mean by long term, because Julio still has a little tread left on the tires, 3, 4, maybe, he's on the other side of 30 now, but he can still possibly play very well in this league for another 3 to 4 years. So is this a business decision, Banks, or is this we just don't see him fitting into our plans?
This is totally a business move, okay? I don't know any regime that's going to come in and say Julio Jones don't fit. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame talent. I mean, let's just keep that real for just for a second. Julio Jones is the best in the game. It's a business decision. You know what I'm saying? We are in cap hell. I'm talking about we can't even pay to wake up the next day. I mean, we have no money at all. So we have to pay this new draft class. We can't even pay 2 of them. That's sad. I've never seen this franchise in such cap misery before, like this, to this extent. So, I mean, for me, Leo, man, I look at it like this. It's logo first before the player, okay? I mean, I'm going to miss Julio, but I'm a Falcon fans first. I'm not about the player, player first, blah, 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 blah. It's Falcons first, whoever wears that jersey, you know what I'm saying? So if he goes on, I wish him well. Wherever he goes, as long as it ain't Tampa or New Orleans. But
or Carolina.
Or Carolina. Whoever picks him up, I wish him well, and continue on your career, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully you get what you're looking for. You're going to be a Hall of Famer. You're going to have your name raised in the Falcons Ring of Honor. That's no doubt. But, I think a lot of people are just too emotionally attached and they're in their feelings. Just don't get attached to the name. Get attached to the logo.
Okay, we'll talk about that here in just a moment. So one of the funny things, so I will say this much, man. For 10 years, man, Julio Jones has been, in my opinion, a consummate professional here in this city. We didn't hear a lot about Julio making excuses. He wasn't a media guy. He didn't stay in the media. The only thing we saw, Julio do was hang out with Migos. I mean, who wouldn't want to hang out with the Migos though, right? I mean, they're an iconic rap group here in Atlanta. But and for what it's worth, man, you go back to that painful Super Bowl here, a couple of years ago. Like Julio arguably made the catch of his life in that Super Bowl, man. That probably, there are a lot of factors that happen, a lot of things that happen. And we're not going to relive this, and I'm not going to open up that wound. But Banks, had we won that Super Bowl, I think that would be a statue in front of Mercedes-Benz right now of that catch that he made against the Patriots, man, on that drive that could have arguably put us up for good in that Super Bowl. But not to get too far off track, man. Um, Shannon Sharp, who is considered like an OG or unk amongst a lot of NFL players today. Not just wide receivers, but all of the guys, young guys in the league. Shannon Sharp he was a great football player. I don't know if he's Hall of Fame or not. I can't remember. But long story short, Shannon Sharp with Undisputed, he's earned the trust of a lot of these young players. So what I want to bring to the table is now, and I'm gonna tell you how I feel about it. I want to get your feelings. He called Julio live on the air doing the show. As they ran it. I don't know what built up to the actual him calling Julio because I didn't, like I said, I didn't watch the show. I was asleep. I ain't gonna lie, I was asleep. But he called Julio live on air. Julio said that he's out of Atlanta, and they kind of talked about where he could end up or where he could land. And I don't know the whole gist of the conversation, but I felt like, in a way, it was kind of wrong of Shannon Sharp to do that. So we're never going to probably get the truth as to if Julio actually knew he was live on air. But for Shannon Sharp to actually call him and put him on the spot as far as what was going on from a transaction standpoint with him and Atlanta Falcons, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like Shannon Sharp was wrong? Because I know Shannon Sharp, he's a former player. He's in the media now. He's looking for a story. But I feel Shannon Sharp was wrong for putting Julio on the spot like that. And if it wasn't disclosed to Julio that he was live on air, I just feel like it was wrong. But like I said, we'll never know from a perspective of, did he know, whatever the case may be. How did you just feel about how that all transpired?
Again, I don't know the full story of if Julio knew or not. Because, you got some people who was like, well, Julio, he had to know. That was just a publicity stunt just to get the Falcons to move their feet faster. Or, you look at the other side of it. Well, it was Shannon Sharp. He's so, he wrong for putting him on the spot like that. And either way it go, Leo, I mean, it wasn't a good look. You know what I'm saying? Shannon Sharp put not just Julio on the spot. He put the franchise, the Falcons, on the spot, man. It's like you don't talk about something that's done, with in our quarters.
Yeah, he kind of aired out
that's
dirty laundry.
That's none of your business what we're doing with our player. You know what I'm saying? You are just a journalist. You just want to be the first to report it. Now, if that's the case, you violated so many codes, so many NFL brotherhood codes, whatever you want to call it. You put the man out there like that, and he said what he said, and you ran with it. Now, I had my feelings when I first heard it. I felt like Julio did know, but I mean, it's neither here or there. At the end of the day, Leo, he said it. That's how he feels. So it's not who knew first, who did it first. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? It's done. It's said. Now, where we go from here? Now, that's why I'm looking at it like, they going to deal with Shannon Sharp the way they're going to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? All this, Falcons may want a public apology. Bull crap. What's that going to do? I mean, who cares? I mean, that's he did what he did. Okay, boo hoo. So, what do you do from here? That's what I'm concerned about. That's the I'm more of the effect of more than the cause.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, man. My thing is, it's like, how can I put this, man? I don't know if I was delusional to think that, I felt Julio Jones was going to be that guy like a Larry Fitzgerald that was just going to ride his time out with one organization, 13, 15 years and just be that guy. You know what I'm saying? I felt as though that's who Julio was, bring my lunchbox to work, blue collar guy. But, maybe there are many layers to Julio that we don't know. I mean, he's been a very, very private guy since he's been in the league. We do know that. Very, very short with the media. Don't know a lot about him outside of just his, professional life in the league, man. But for some reason, I felt like, Julio was going to be here 13, 14, 15 years. The last regime did appease him and extended his contract, paid him a little extra money. You and I both had a conversation about this. Didn't feel like it was really necessary, but they did. They did do that. Um, so, with that being said, man, I guess Shannon Sharp did what he did. But as fans, how do we feel about the news being broke like that? And do we really feel like, Julio owes it to the fans here of Atlanta? Because we supported him for a long time, man. We spent a lot of money. We bought a lot of jerseys. We've lost voices cheering and yelling for him, man. I think as a professional, man, and being in this city for over a decade, man, do you feel as fans we're owed a better way, or we owe something by this guy moving on? I mean, I know this is strictly a business decision. He already came out and said he's out, but just the way we found out as fans, man, do we deserve better?
I think what it is just how it ended. You know what I'm saying? How Julio handled it. He got on a phone call with another ex NFL player and just said he is out of there and he wants to play for a winner. Now, yeah, I feel what you're saying, Leo. Yeah, we feel like we should have just been more professional about it. As yeah, maybe say some of the lines of I appreciate what this franchise done for me, and I love the fans, blase, 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 you know what I'm saying? But I want to try different avenues of my career. Keeping it professional, I get it. But, he just came out, just been very, very matter of fact with it. And just say, I'm out of there, you know what I'm saying? And I want to play for a winner. In the grand scheme of things, a lot of folks took it personal. It made it seem like he called us a loser in so many words. I mean, take it what you want it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like what he has done over the career while he was here, he was phenomenal. Could he did it better? Yes, he could. He definitely could. But
So look, Banks. Let me ask you this. Let's get real gritty with it as fans. If he comes out after the fact and does this whole spiel to the fans, is it sincere? Or do you feel like what happened on Monday on Undisputed was the real Julio?
that was the real
Hey,
Julio.
that was the real
No,
Julio?
that was the real
Okay.
Julio. That was the real
Okay.
Julio. He comes out with anything here on out. I don't think it is sincere. I mean, it would just be best, dude, just leave. I mean, it's not, I hate to say it that way, dude. I don't want it to get more muddier and uglier than it already is. Just get what you want to get and get out of here, bro. I mean, I know that's not how I wanted him to go, but that's how that's the avenue you taking, brother. I mean, you talking to other people about your people that are paying your salary. You got fans that look up to you, brother. I mean, you got people that want you to be the face of this franchise and will back you to the end. And you are basically saying, I don't care. I'm out. Okay, well, be on your way, brother.
Oh man, it's crazy, man. And the more I talk about it, man, the more I kind of get into my feelings. Because let's be real about it, Banks. We are fans, and we talk about it. On the podcast as we have these conversations, we talk about this as a fan perspective, and as fans, we have feelings about this. We do get attached, and like you said, Banks, not just like you said, we're always going to hold our for us. I can speak for us. We hold our allegiance to the team, but when you have a player like Julio Jones that's been here for over a decade, man, You know what I'm saying? It's a hard pill to swallow to watch him and to understand and know that he's going to be out of here and to see how this all transpired, man. It's just a hard pill to swallow for me. And like you just said, it is. It's really something that you just really couldn't fathom or really couldn't see moving forward. So we're going to talk about this for a minute. So we know that Julio is out. He's gone. So let's talk about life without Julio for just a moment, right? The first thing I want to talk about to you, Banks, is where does Julio go? And what do the Falcons get? So we know that he's gone. We know that he's going to be traded. There are rumors all about. If you don't know, you can go on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever your social media of choice is, you can go on there and there are rumors rampant about what's going to happen. But one of the things that came up today, and Banks, you talked about this, was that there is apparently a team willing to deal a first round pick for Julio Jones. Now, with that being said, I don't know what team that is. We know where Julio is. We watched him for 10 years. We know how he is. I'm gonna take my personal feeling on this, Banks, is, man, if somebody out there is willing to give a first round 2022 first round pick for Julio Jones, man, I don't know why they hadn't pulled the trigger yet and go ahead and taken that deal. I mean, we talked about this whole end of division situation. You can kind of get in your feelings as a fan about how that will work or how that will look in the division if you traded him within the division for a first round pick. But first round pick for Julio Jones, a 30 plus Julio Jones right now, go send him. Where do you stand on that?
Oh no, I'm right with you. You know, if someone's willing to give you a first round, you take it and run, brother. I'm really doubt that it will be anybody within the division giving us a first round pick for a quarterback. I mean, I'm sorry, a wide receiver that's, past 30, you know what I'm saying, with past injury history, whatever, but still effective, in his career. Who knows Julio better than our own teams in our division? They see him twice a year. So I'll be kind of just assured that it ain't nobody in the division. Like, whoever it is, I can't tell you who it is, Leo, because it could be someone like LA Chargers for all we know. I mean, I don't have.
And it's
no
funny,
clue.
and it's funny that you said that, because I mean, immediately once the information came out, there was a list of course, potential suitors for Julio Jones. And the Chargers were one of the teams that came up on the list. So, the Chargers, I think the Titans, the Patriots, San
Ravens.
Francisco, the Ravens, the Chiefs, a lot of teams have come up. You know what I'm saying, as potential suitors.
Well,
but then you got to look at the teams in a situation or in a potential, because here's the thing, and Banks, we'll kick this around for a minute here. If you're willing to give up a first round pick, and we know this because we're fans, but we kind of know the business of the NFL. If you're willing to give up a first round pick for Julio Jones, that tells me one thing. That means you're a piece away from winning a championship, or you are there. Because teams that are still trying to get there don't give up building blocks. You don't give up a first round pick for a 30-year-old receiver unless you know for a fact this is the person that's going to take us over the edge to put us in position to win a Lombardi.
Right.
So and there are only a couple of teams that come to mind when you think about it, right? There's only a couple of teams that come to mind.
Well, you also got to put in the factor is that this is the reason why they haven't done it yet, Leo, because they be still on the hook for the contract. That's why they wait until after June 1st. So if they were to pull the trigger later, you know what I'm saying, whoever wants that throwing the first round pick, it ain't but a handful of teams that can afford Julio right now. It ain't that many. I mean, they went down the list of teams that possibly can afford him. It's probably 3 or 4 of them. And I think we named them all already. You have a dark horse in the Arizona Cardinals, but I mean they have. I'm not really.
The Arizona Cardinals just shored up and just paid a bunch of people out there.
So
and the funny thing is, one of the things that Julio said was that he wants to win. He wants to go to a team to win.
Right.
So we know for a fact that, hey, I want to get traded. I want to leave. Because here's the thing. Another thing is too, Banks. It sounds like this was something mutual. I know Julio said. I listened to the soundbite. I could be mistaken on this. I want to say that Julio actually went to management and say, I want to be traded. I could be wrong on that. I don't want everybody to jump on me and say, no, that wasn't the case. But I want to say that Julio actually went to management and said, I want to be traded because I want to win. So now you look at it, and like you just said, Banks, from a financial standpoint, you're only a couple of teams that can afford the contract that he's on. And then you got to look at it and say, are these teams in right there and ready to win right now? You feel what I'm saying?
I'm just trying to, I was in deep thought, also trying to figure out, teams like the Eagles for a prime example, because they can't afford him, but are they close to winning? Would the Falcons be that? Are they just looking at it? We just want a draft pick and we don't care where you go, or is that they really trying to help Julio get to what he wants? Or if you really think about it in the long run, Leo, like you're basically going to help a team to win a Super Bowl.
Compete for a trophy, exactly.
And you supposedly said that we're not rebuilding. That's the quote from Arthur Smith. So if you're trying, we know good and well that you're nowhere near one, but if you're trying to go there and go to the promised land, you're basically giving someone a roadblock to block you. So I don't know, man.
Well, I guess if you want to just break it down, if we want to talk about breaking it down, like if he's traded within the conference, yes. If he's traded within the conference, because we talked about this a little bit off air, Banks. Like I don't know, like the Falcons are in a position where we have a new regime, but it's one of those what team actually ever says that we're rebuilding? I don't know anybody that's going to ever publicly come out and say we're rebuilding. You got a new regime, got a new coach, a new GM, but and then this is a business, and you have to win because you have to produce. We can see it as fans, and we understand and know when the rebuild is going on. And I think we're both in agreement that, yeah, this is a rebuild, but there's never going to be this, oh, yeah, we're rebuilding. We're trying to, do this for time. So, it's one of those things. And like you just said, Banks, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to kick him to somebody, like I say, especially within the conference, because you still want to compete. You still want to do things as of right now because, we know how the NFL is. But within the conference, like you said, Eagles, or let's just even say the San Francisco 49ers, if you give them to the San Francisco 49ers out west, like how does that impact you, or how does that, where do you stand on that? And I know it's a bunch of caveats. We can go a bunch of different places, but Banks, I'll let you talk about that for a minute, and then we'll move on.
It's gonna suck for one thing. I'm not gonna lie to you, Leo. I really don't want to see this man in the NFC. It's not gonna sit right with me knowing that we got to defend this man. Prevent him from getting in the end zone. And heaven forbid if he ever comes back to it, Mercedes-Benz, with that new team and he scores a touchdown. It's just so much. It's gonna be too much for, I think, his fan base to tolerate. You had past players in this franchise that people feel that the Falcons did wrong, if you will. You talk about Dion and Michael Vick and now Julio. I'm not going to go there with the franchise and who's wrong and who's not. That's a whole nother discussion, but I just don't want, that turmoil that's going to come with it, and it's not going to be pretty. Yeah, he's going to be, have a standing ovation, whatever, and rightfully so. But the actual game and the actual see him celebrate with his new team, it's just not going to sit right with me.
I agree with you. So move forward. So We know Julio is out, man. We know he's gonna be moving on to another team here. So I hate to be the dead horse to death, man. But Banks, I gotta bring this up. I wish Derico was here to discuss this and talk about this, but you know what I gotta bring up? You know what I gotta bring up? This fan base and how they feel about Julio Jones. And I gotta talk about it. I gotta talk about our current quarterback right now, Matt Ryan. We talked about this on previous episodes, and we talked about the fact that this could possibly happen. Now, we know for a fact that Matt Ryan is still going to be here for another year or two or three. And now Julio's gone. And a lot of people in this fan base felt like Julio Jones was not expendable. Julio Jones needed to be a Falcon for life. Julio Jones is, like you alluded to earlier, the face of this franchise. So now we have to deal with the fact that Matt Ryan is still here and Julio is going to be gone. How does this hit? I'm gonna let you talk a little bit here first, man. Like we talked about this on the last episode. Like I said, Derico's not here, so now we're in this. Now we know for a fact that Julio is gone. Where are these? It's hard for me to even get into this conversation, but Julio is not gone. Matt is still here. Where is this fan base now without a Julio Jones and a Matt Ryan still here? Can you kind of just, I guess, lay out for everybody that's listening to this podcast how this fan base is actually going to be post Julio Jones and we still have Matt Ryan, man?
Extremely fickle. Okay. I'm just testing the waters out there in different fan groups and, going out to get my hair cut and going to work and just kind of feeling how everyone feel about the Julio Jones and why is he not here. And the first thing, absolutely the first thing I heard was he's leaving because Matt's still here. Like really, like you think that Julio's leaving because of Matt Ryan. I kid you not. So now that Julio's gone, Matt Ryan's still here. It's going to be a lot of people just being petty. They already said they're not coming to the games. Leo, you know what it is. As long as Matt Ryan is here, we're going to have fans that's just going to, they don't give a damn about this franchise. And the next quarterback, whoever that next quarterback is, man, he's going to have to woo this fan base. And unfortunately, man, I don't know who that quarterback is. Like, he could be still in college for all we know. He could be still in high school. But he's going to have to woo this fan base because this fan base needs flash. They need excitement. They don't care about, what he's done on the field to help a team win. They want to see excitement and be on top 10 in Sports Center. So I look at it like this, man. This fan base is so unique compared to every fan base in the league. Okay. Exactly for what it is. You think about all the players we had that everybody gravitated towards prime time, Michael Vick, with excitement.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this here, Banks. Do you feel as though not having a taste of a championship has kind of thrown off the priorities of a lot of fans? And let me kind of dig into that a little deep because you look at certain fan bases around the league and just in general when it comes to sports, and I just give the example of Boston. They demand and expect championships, right? Nothing short, nothing less. You look at Boston, you look at the Red Sox, you look at the Patriots, you look at the Bruins, you look at the Celtics. That city and that fan base demands excellence. They demand championships. Here in Atlanta, do you think that our fan base is just, I want to use the word delusional, man, but do you think we our priorities are just kind of out of whack? Like, cause I want championships. I don't care about top 10 Sports Center highlights. I don't. I want a championship here, man, with the Falcons, with the Hawks, with the Braves, another one with Atlanta United. I want that's at the end of the day, the bottom line is Championships. Championships. So Banks, is are the priorities of the fans here in this city just all them up?
It really is, Leo. I mean, unfortunately, the 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 history of the sports in this city has been doom and gloom. Okay, only bright spot is United and Braves. Um, the fans don't know how it feels to actually have a winner consistently. Consistently. Only thing we really know as a fan base is having excitement coming out the tunnel. Doing something special, doing certain plays. I.e. Dominique, i.e. Michael Vick, i.e. Deion Sanders. Somebody that's got to be that guy that just said he did that one play, or someone that they can rock behind because they got a jersey or something like that. When it comes to excellence, and it's funny you should say Boston, but you can go further than that. You can go L.A., you can go New York, you can go teams that have multiple. Hell, Chicago. They know what the Bulls brought. So they weren't worried about, I'm saying, give me that flash, whoever that, Jordan come in. Jordan just did his thing. Jordan came in and won basketball games. Said take it or leave it. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately for us not to feel that and experience that, only thing we got anything remotely close to anything that's exciting is huge plays or, a Michael Vick run. I mean, that doesn't do nothing for me. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, yeah, it was exciting at that time, but at the end of the day, no one's going to remember that play in 2 weeks. No one. I mean, everyone knows what you did the previous week.
Absolutely.
So I feel you on the whole thing about the championship. The city is deprived of what greatness feels like. And unfortunately, we grasping at everything besides actually winning a championship. Like
we desperately need a championship by like I said, Atlanta United. They brought us a championship. The Braves, God, it's been so. I hate to say, there are kids legally able to drink now. They have never seen the Braves championship. We were able to see the Braves with the championship in '95. Obviously, that's a whole other conversation to talk about the Braves and where they stand right now in Liberty Media. We might have to do that and revisit that on another podcast, man. But it's a lot to digest, man, with Julio going. And it's crazy because, like, literally, man, this is a very, very big. People don't understand how big this is, man, with losing Julio and where we stand as a franchise and where we're going. You could argue and say it's exciting and it's disappointing at the same time because obviously we're going forward as a franchise with a new regime with Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith and building, and we're going to have to see where we end up on the other end of this regime. But at the same time, there's an end. There's an end. We all know we don't like endings, man, especially, when you have somebody that's been so iconic and somebody that's been just that meant so much to this city, man. But I'm gonna move forward. We'll talk about something else, Banks. I'm gonna let you close this out. Go ahead.
And just wanted to say something in case people who's watching this, anybody that had anything towards Julio, listen, Terry Fontenot is not a spy. He's not a mole. He doesn't work for the Saints. Okay. He works for the Atlanta Falcons. He's not brought in here to sabotage the Falcons. People, grow up. I mean, really, it's so sad to even say that.
It's silly to entertain.
Are you really serious right now? I mean, are we really talking about Terry Fontenot working for the Saints? Like, he really uprooted his family to come to Atlanta just to sabotage us.
We've heard this, Banks, and it's funny, man, because people, like, whether you saying it tongue in cheek or not, or whether you actually truly believe this, man, Terry Fontenot is here because he got a job to be a general manager in the NFL. Everybody can't do that, man. This guy came here and he was hired here to be a general manager. This whole get out of your feelings. All I can say is get out of your feelings, man. Whether Terry was here or we got somebody from some other team, man, get out of your feelings. This whole Julio thing and trying to sabotage the Falcons, like you just said, Banks, man, that's preposterous. preposterous, man. He's not. Terry is trying to put this franchise in a position to win. Unfortunately, man, when you come into organizations with everything that we had going on with the salary cap issues and just with a bunch of other constraints, man, you gotta do what you gotta do. And I'm not hating that, bro. Man, I feel, I wouldn't want to be in his shoes. Banks, I don't know about you. I wouldn't want to be in Terry Fontenot's shoes right now because he knows that trading away somebody like Julio Jones is going to really, really sting and punch this fan base in the gut. He knows that. Ain't nobody stupid. It's all business, but they know the ramifications of getting rid of somebody like a Julio Jones in this city. They know that. They know that, man. These people aren't stupid. But like you said, man, to your point, to think that this guy is still working for the Aints, trying to sabotage, man, come on, man. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. Really, real talk. So look, man, we're gonna move on, man. This Julio Jones thing, we're gonna have to come back after the fact and see what happens, where he goes, where he lands. I wish him all the best, man. One of, like we just said, one of the greatest Falcons that ever laced them up. But we're gonna move on, man, in the show, and we're gonna go ahead and talk about some playoff basketball, man. Because guess what? The Hawks are in the playoffs, Banks.
And how exciting is it so far to go through
I'm
from
gonna,
game 1 and game 2 and have
I'm gonna need you to wake up, and
all
I'm
this?
gonna need you to wake up and be
I'm
excited
awake.
about this.
I'm awake.
Come on,
I'm
let's go. We're gonna be
excited.
excited about this. Okay.
Listen, I had a couple of drinks now. You got to give me some. All right, I'm good.
I know that Julio Jones segment just pulled a lot out of you, man.
It didn't.
Emotionally, man.
No, I had about 3 of these already. So I mean,
Okay, so I gotta slow it down. Let's do it. Okay, so let's talk about it. Atlanta Hawks, man. We're gonna do it. Atlanta Hawks, y'all see it. They're in the playoffs. The Hawks made the playoffs. We talked about this on other podcasts and where they were gonna fare and how they were gonna do. So it ended up being the number 5 seed. And shout out to Nate McMillan for getting us there to the number 5 seed and not having to actually play that whole stupid play-in game or whatever the case. We there. We here. So now, as we speak, as we record this podcast, man, we're in the series with the New York Knicks. We're 2 games in, and right now it's 1-1. First 2 games in New York, Hawks got one in New York, which I think was something that we talked about that they needed to do, and they did. First thing I want to talk about right now, about this playoff series is, in the very first game, is Trae Young. Banks, oh man. We talked about Trae Young. We talked about how he would handle playoff basketball. We talked about him. We've really put a lot on him, man, because of just, the expectations out of this young man. But this dude did not disappoint in his early career, in his young career, his first playoff appearance. This guy was ice in pulling out the very first game in the playoffs in this series against the Knicks. We got to win, and we'll talk about the second game here in just a moment, man. But we put a lot of expectations on Banks. I know we don't like to use the word expectations. We don't. Between you and I, we don't like to use the word expectations. Everybody else does, but Trae was expected to step up in a major way in the playoffs, and he truly did. How do you feel about Trae, man, in this first playoff game as Atlanta Hawk, bro?
bravo, bravo, bravo. Let me tell you something. I had my doubts. I'm not going to lie to you. I had a reservation about him being clutch, in the regular season, not being consistent because, for one thing, a lot of people labeled him as a superstar, mainly locals in the city. I always argued with people and said no, because the league didn't recognize him as one. Case in point, he wasn't even invited to the All-Star game in his own city, and I thought that was just blasphemy. Are you kidding me? His own city, he can't even be a reserve. So that's what I seen the league seeing him as. Okay, in his playoffs, whole nother story, man. He stepped up. He came in, put the team on his back. He embracing this villain role that New York is giving him, and I'm here for it. He is, they call him bald. They say he's afraid of birds. They say F you Trae. I mean, as a unison, as a fan base, and he played through it.
So let's talk about this for a minute. Let's take a side note, Banks, and talk about this for a minute, man, because we're here in Atlanta. We're Atlanta fans. no. Let's talk about this. I want to take a side note, and we'll go back to the Hawks playoffs here, man. New York fans get passes. They get a pass for being obnoxious, for being jerks, I'm gonna say it, for being assholes. They do whatever they do whatever they can and do whatever they do to try to, I don't know, they try to make the Garden an intimidating place. And yes, Trey has embraced being, like you just said, villain or whatever the case may be. But here's the thing. Why is it that New York fans get a pass for being obnoxious? See, New York fans are called passionate when they do those things, right? Philly, Boston, they're passionate when they, and we'll talk about an incident that happened in game 2 in just a moment. But Banks, can you tell me why is it that those fans get a pass for doing stupid stuff and being just asshole, let's be real about it. They be assholes and be dicks about stuff that they shouldn't do, but in the media they're labeled as passionate. But if we were to do that here in Atlanta, in the South, where hospitality is king, then we looked at as being crazy. Why do they get treated differently than we do here?
It's because the high media market. They're gonna coddle these cities. They're gonna protect their interest. You know what I'm saying? Come on, Leo. You talking about New York? You talking about Philadelphia? You talking about Boston? You talking about Chicago? I mean, well, maybe not Chicago, but maybe in a sense. But anybody in that northeastern hemisphere, you know, they got this little thing where they do what the hell they want to do. They cuss you out. They make these chants of obscene words, you know what I'm saying? And no one bats an eye. You know, I guarantee you, like you just said, come game 3 on Friday, let us say Elf Derrick Rose as a unison, and it'll be frowned upon. I guarantee you that. They will find a reason why we should never, ever say that, you know, and it's not, it's not fair, but at the same time, I know we wouldn't do it because that's not our makeup. You know, you got a fan base up there that freaking spits on players. I mean,
oh my God. So yeah, let's just go ahead and talk about it. Let's get into it, man. I was going to save it for a minute, but so yeah, there was a guy that actually attempted to spit Hockalooey on Trae Young. Yeah, so Trae Young is an athlete. He's doing his thing. He's out there balling. I mean, like you just said, you want to make the Garden an intimidating place. I mean, yeah, the Knicks, I'm going to say it, suck. The Knicks suck ass. You got a championship, an NBA championship that, was 10 years before I was born. So, you know what I'm saying? Shout out, whatever. But, you're New York fans, you're Knicks fans, you're back in the playoffs, Spike Lee's down there, whatever the case may be. You had a fan actually tried to spit on, whether he spit on them or whether he tried, whatever the case may be, it's still preposterous. It's crazy. And, I don't know how many fans this is going to reach, how many people are going to listen to this and say this, man. I'm going to say this here. There's nothing passionate about that. Okay? There's nothing passionate. Hear me out. There's nothing passionate about spitting or trying to spit on another player of an opposing team. Yelling, hollering, screaming, passion. Spitting, cursing, calling people out of their name. There's nothing passionate about that. Okay?
The dude need his ass whooped. I mean, just straight up, he need his ass whooped. I can't. Can you just go to a basketball game and pay for those high price tickets and decide, I think I'm gonna spit on this guy? Really? That's how you feel. This is what you got to bed for. How you feel you're a Knicks fan, and out of all the days you've been a Knicks fan, the moment right here in this playoff game, the same team that you beat 3-0 in the regular season, I'm gonna have to spit on this guy. Why? Yeah, dude, what the hell is wrong with you?
And literally have people actually make the excuse to say that, this is a passionate fan base. They're emotional. And this is why this happened. Man,
My ass. My
exactly.
ass.
I'll say I don't like to cuss on this show, but I'm gonna say it. It's bullshit. And as fans, if you do something like that, if something you deserve everything that comes to you if you do something like that, man. I was listening to sports talk radio here in Atlanta. Shout out Dukes and Bell. You know, if players decide they want to take it amongst themselves and have a little street justice, man, I don't blame them. I understand they're professionals and they need to act accordingly, man. But for somebody to spit on you, like that takes it to a whole nother level, man. So there's nothing, like I said, I'm gonna keep pushing it. There's nothing passionate about trying to spit on a opponent. I don't care what he says, what he does. I don't care if he drops 70 on you. There's no room for you as a human being to actually spit on somebody else. Period. There's no toleration for that, man. That's not passion. That's stupid. That's idiotic. I have no respect for you. I have no respect. Man, as a matter of fact, that stupid individual just took on the whole embodiment of the New York fan base in my mind now. So now he's just showed me how idiotic and how stupid the whole damn New York Knicks fan base is for doing what he did. You know what I'm saying? Just crazy, man. Crazy.
At the end of the
It's
day,
just
though,
insane, man.
are you surprised though? Like, did that really come to
I'm
you as
not.
a
I'm not. I'm
surprise?
not. That's the crazy part. I'm not. I'm not. I want to give New York fans a little bit of, you know, I want to get them a little bit of credit saying, okay, yeah, Pat, it's just, it crosses a line, man. It's just, God,
Listen,
man, you know.
you know what? The thing is, they gonna be New York is going to New York. Okay, they made it to the point now. It's a heated rivalry at this point, at this juncture of Game 3 approaching. This shit is personal. Excuse my French. It's personal
Oh,
because
no.
you don't.
Yeah, it is
You
personal,
have
goddammit. It's
a
personal.
player in Trae Young who did nothing to you. Only thing he did was did his job. First 2 games, he dropped 30 something point. Well, he dropped 30 something in game 2. I think it's 26 or 27 in game 1. He did his job through all of that, and he still did what he had to do. You got a freaking mayor who's calling this man
They jumped
out.
out there and called him out. I mean,
Listen,
hey, it is
dude,
what it is.
listen, it has
If it
nothing
is
to
what
do
it
with
is,
you, bruh. It's
if it
nothing to
is what
do
it
with
is,
you.
Banks, and when he did that, I was like, you know what, game on, let's do this. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? If you need some motivation, if New York fans are starving that much to try to move past a playoff round, if you want to do and pull out all those tactics, man, you know what, game on, Hawks. And I'm gonna tell y'all this right now as we record this episode, like you just said, Banks, man. Friday night here in Atlanta in Phillips Arena, we're not gonna spit on people. We're not gonna resort to yelling profanities. But guess what? We're gonna show up and we're gonna show out.
That's the
Okay?
problem that
There,
national media feel that we're
but
going
here,
to be
hey,
outnumbered
but
by
look,
Knicks
no,
fans.
oh hell no, hell
We
no.
all
We are
know
going to show up and we are going to show out on this game 3. We're going to show up and we're going to show out. Atlanta fans are going to be there and we're going to support this team.
they
Yeah,
better ask
there's a lot of
Boston.
transplant.
They
There's a
better ask
lot of
Boston.
there's a lot of transplant ass New York people here that are gonna spend goo gobs of money to go see their beloved Knicks. But I'm gonna tell you what, I know this for a fact, and you know this for a fact, Banks, that Atlanta is going to show up and show out for our Hawks game 3 of this series, man. And if you want to make, like I said, we're gonna be there. And this is the A. This ain't New York, this ain't the Garden, this ain't Bronx Sun. No, this is the A. This is the A. We're going to come here. We're going to support this damn team. And we're going to be passionate. So don't bring that BS here to Phillips Arena. Don't bring that BS here to the A, man. We're going to be here. We're going to strong and support our Hawks for the next 2 games, man. And hopefully the Hawks will go ahead and jump on this series, man, and do what we need to do.
First of all, if you don't know, you better ask Boston. They found out what we were about. One thing I know about Atlanta sports fans is that, yeah, we seem kind of lackadaisical at times. But one thing you're not going to do is disrespect us in our city. And the moment you call us out, this is when we're at our worst. When I mean our worst I mean worst as in a good way. We come out and we back our teams. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a shame that we be called out for us to show up, but that's what we are. Now, I've seen a lot on national media, on social media about New York, bad mouthing our city, and it's so ironic that if we're such a bad and rundown city, you're constantly moving down here. You're
People constantly coming out here
moving
to
down
live.
here to live.
Stay
You're
y'all
such a
asses in New York.
if you're better seated in Atlanta, stay up there. You don't
Why are there
have to
so
come
many
here.
New York transplants
Why
here
are
in
you
this city?
here? Why are you
I don't want to hear this mess about, cost of living. I got a
No, we
better
hear
job. This,
that.
that, and the third.
No. It's other places. It's cost of living is better than Atlanta, i.e.,
Go to
Florida,
Birmingham. Go to Birmingham. Go to Charlotte. Go to
Louisiana.
Texas.
Dude,
Go to Oklahoma. Go to
bypass
South
Georgia.
Dakota. Go to North Dakota. You ain't got to come
You
here
don't
to
have
stay.
to
You ain't got to
come
come here to
here.
kick it.
You don't have to come here.
That's a whole
So
nother conversation, though, man. We
I
hope Banks
understand.
fans stay down time. So another
I
conversation.
understand. I just had to get that off my chest because I felt like,
Absolutely. I'm behind you with that. I'm behind you 100% with that, man. These folk from New York, man. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation, though. But look, yeah, playoffs, Hawks. We're running up against the mark here, man, to end this show, man. But yes, I feel like the Hawks are gonna try to go ahead, stick the dagger in here for these next two games, man. And it is what it is, man. Hopefully that's a lot of motivation for them to do what they need to do here. And like I said, once again, Atlanta's going to show up and show out. And I'm excited. I'm excited about the first game here in Atlanta since 2017 that we've had playoffs, man. And it's how ironic it is, Banks, man. Last playoff game I was at, it was with you, Eastern Conference Finals. When LeBron and them came into town. I don't want to relive that, but we were there. So Friday night is going down as we record. As we record this, man, it's going down Friday night, man, with the Hawks, and I'll be happy to see that. And so before we close out, Banks, man, how strongly do you feel in our game? Because the Hawks did what they needed to do, right? Knicks got the number 4 seed. Obviously, they got home court. They made it really, really tough this second game. First game, we stole one up there. That's what we needed to do. So how confident are you now coming here for the next two games, man? How confident are you?
Man, I'm very confident, dude. Come to the A, bro. You at home, you got your fans behind you. Put their asses out their misery, dude. Make them know that who we are, because they don't believe. We got to make them believe. You know what I'm saying? This is just the beginning, okay? And I'm gonna tell you what. For the way that game ended in game 2, it's not gonna happen in game 3. Not behind our crowd. I'd be damn. And it's not. And the thing is, I know Trae Young, and he feeds off of stuff like that. Imagine what he's gonna do behind a crowd that's for him.
At home. And once again, and I'm saying it, we're gonna show up and we're gonna show out. We're gonna show up and show out, man. Banks, look, man, we're gonna have. So look, before we end this, man, there are a lot of things that we need to get into, and we'll talk about here on later podcasts, man. So we have some questions, and we have some people that have brought some things to our attention, and obviously we just didn't have enough time to get to them tonight, man. So we'll definitely put those in the pocket and talk about them later, because we didn't get a chance to talk about soccer. I know a couple of people talked about us, and they wanted to hear our opinions on soccer here in the States and relegation. And we just up against the market. We just don't have enough time to talk, because I want to really dig into it. And I know, Banks, you've been following soccer here for a while, and you understand how relegation works. And a lot of soccer heads want to hear opinions on how it will work here in the United States. So I don't want you to even discuss it. I don't hold it, keep it. We'll come back at a later date and we'll talk about it. Shout out to, like I said at the beginning of the show, everybody that's been supporting us and been listening to us, man. And just giving us positive feedback. So you would So for those of you that are listening and want to hear more, us talk about more soccer and talk about how we feel about relegation, we're gonna get into that. I promise you. Next episode, we'll start off the show discussing that. It was just a lot of stuff going on here in Atlanta with what we just had to bring to the table tonight. So, but yeah, we're gonna definitely do that. Definitely talk about Atlanta United and what they've been doing with Gabriel Heinze over there. and with my man Joseph, what he's been doing. We'll definitely do that hopefully next week as we do the next podcast, man. But Banks, I appreciate you holding it down tonight. Derico, once again, he was unable to be with us because, like I said, he got a lot of stuff going on, man. Shout out to him. He doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? So he'll be back. He'll be back. Always shouting out Jay, man. Jay's schedule is crazy right now, man. If you want to check out what Jay's doing, man, you can always check out what he's doing on jjonescomedy.com and also over there on Frown Town. But Banks, man, look, let everybody know, man, how they can catch up with you, man, if they want to, because we want all the smoke from these New York fans. If y'all want to bring us the smoke, man, come on, bring it. I don't give a damn. So Banks, tell them.
Well, before I go there with that, I want to give a shout out to the WNBA Atlanta Dream for winning their game against Chicago Sky. They're now 2-2. And a shout out to Atlanta United for getting a positive result from Seattle Sounders and that phenomenal win against the Foot of Montreal at Mercedes-Benz.
So, absolutely.
So, yeah, we can't go off the air without talking about all our teams, and
absolutely,
the Braves man. Too as well. So, yes, you can find me at BabyBanks80 on the gram and BabyBanks80 on Twitter, and Antoine Jarrell Banks on Facebook.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, like I said, just to echo what Banks just said, man. Shout out to all the teams in the city, man. Braves finally trying to push over the hump, man. Get over 500, man. I was actually able to attend a game here not too long ago where the Braves scored 20 damn runs. Ain't that a bitch? They said it was almost like a football game. 20 runs, man, against the Pirates, man. It was awesome. Finally getting back to a point where we can actually see live sports, Banks. I know you were able to go to a Hawks game right before the playoffs here, man. 2020 was just crazy, especially with us being big sports fans, not able to attend in person, man. It really took a toll on us. But now being able to get back into it, I was able to go to the Atlanta United game that you talked about, Banks, against Montreal, where we were able to get a win, get those 3 points. Was able to go to the Braves game, man. So we getting back into some normalcy here, man. And then shout out to the Dream. Shout out to the Atlanta Dream, man. The women's basketball team doing their thing over there at the Gateway Center, right over here in College Park, which is right down the street from us, man. We on the south side of Atlanta, and they playing on the south side over there, man. So shout out to them. If you want to get at the show, man, you can always hit us up on Twitter. That's the Leo G Show, the number 1. The Leo G Show, the number 1 on Twitter. You can also find us on Facebook, the Leo G Show. Also get up with me if you want to, because like I said, I want all the smoke from New York fans. I want all the smoke. Bring it to me. At Southern Set.
Look, we don't play games here, bro. Look,
we don't
play no games, bro. We grown ass men. Okay, you come at me sideways if you want to. I mean,
we are passionate. All that spitting, all that other BS y'all talking about. We're passionate fans. We're knowledgeable fans, and we're here for for as many people as always say, well, man, that ain't got no real fans. They ain't got no passionate fans. It's a transplant city. Don't nobody follow the teams that. No, we do. We follow the teams here. We've been here for a long time, man. We've been here for a long time, and like I said, I shouted out, Atlanta Municipal Auditorium. You know what I'm saying? We got family, friends that did that. Omni. Shout out, Blake Banks got the shirt, the Omni shirt. So we've been here for a long time. Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. You know what I'm saying? We've been here. We're passionate fans. We stand behind our teams, and we got a lot of people that ride with us, man. So it's been another edition of the Leo G Show. Banks, I appreciate you holding it down for this show. And we're going to come back to you guys next week. And hopefully we'll have a lot of positive stuff to talk about, man. And we're going to be out.
Peace out.